Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name's Anushka Shukla. I'm a youth delegate with the World Women Foundation. I'm very honored to be here. I'm introducing our next session, Lasting Reinvention in the AI Era. Our moderator is Maria MIKHAYLENKO. She's the Global Managing Director for Roland Berger. Please welcome Ms. MIKHAYLENKO and our esteemed speakers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And honestly, I would say it's a self-moderation of this session. That's how I would place it. And I think that's a great pleasure to have here with me today ALEXANDRA STRASSBURGER. And she is the one now who is driving AI transformation in Mercedes-Benz at a full speed. But before, she has been working in the sales and marketing and have covering US market, Chinese market. So you imagine the complexity she has been facing at. And TANUJA RANDERY, the VP for EMEA of AWS, and she is now covering all the strategic topics for AWS in those markets, which are honestly, I think, really a challenge. You can call it fun, yes. And that's with this panel, we are covering the most exciting topic, I think, how to do the lasting reinvention. Because AI currently bring all of us in a setup where you not only transform the companies and corporates and the setups, but you have to make it lasting. Because it's here, and I would say 3 years ago, I have been always, as CIO of Roland Berger and CTO of Roland Berger, have been always challenged. Come on, if AI will stay or go, but now, after 3 years, even our clients, I think, very much convinced that it will stay. So I would like to start with a bit of the notion that we see that a lot of there is this well-known MIT study saying that 95% of pilots are not getting return on investment. And if I look into certain areas of and industries, I see that only 1 out of 1,000 startups are getting to the commercial stage. For example, in energy space. Of course, in software, it's 1 out of 10. It's a big difference, right? But how to make the reinvention and how to make the change lasting, I think that's the discussion which we want to have now. ALEXANDRA, I would like to hear your opinion because you are the one who is every day, I think, waking up and going to bed with this only one question, how to make it happen, and honestly, what are the barriers we can and should overcome? So why something is not happening as fast as it can happen?
I mean, I think all our IT organization at Mercedes-Benz is waking up with this sauce because we really feel responsible. We feel like this is now the time where the IT department really is crucial, is extremely crucial to really help in this transformation. And for us, it's clear we have actually several elements that we live by. One is, and that's really cool, we have our top management really being involved in that. It's not just a lip service. The IT XCOM, so my peers and my boss, we're coming together on a weekly basis to really learn ourselves. So it's going away from just talking and say you must, you should, you could, to we show that we do it. And I really love that we're doing this. And the other thing is also enabling teams and letting them go and run and then create the scalability factors that they need to really make it big. So we're getting out of the pilot case. And one of the elements that we found is crucial, make it part of your processes. The unsexiest part of the company, right? Who loves processes? Probably nobody, right? So what we push for is standardization, making sure that everything we do is part of that. And then really, we're a German company in a sense, right? Structured, go through and say, these are the processes where we can get the most out of it.
We feel for you. And very interesting point you are mentioning, because we also see in many discussions with clients currently, well, asking themselves, we are investing money into AI, but we do not get the returns. And then you start talking about, but where exactly you are investing money? And then tell me, I don't know, 5, 10 use cases your employees are practicing every day. And then it comes up with, doing some basic research, knowledge, so on. So I'm very much with you talking about when you are saying about business processes, because the whole beauty of lasting, that's what I like most, lasting transformation in AI comes with augmenting first and then automating the whole business process. And only one thing I want to say, because I think it might be a bit boring talking about business processes, but if you think that our companies are operating themselves with the business processes defined in 80s, I think so. And then they were evolving, they were, there was also this wave of automation and so on. But the operating model, which means process, skill set of people who are involved in the process, and then also the systems has to go fast in terms of the change. That's a complexity.
If I could lean into that, I think Alexandra is absolutely right. It is very much top-down commitment is critical, and I think most of us in the tech sector have been dealing on the tech side, and then the businesses are not necessarily involved. And I think Gen AI in particular brings that group together in a way that you don't have to force it. It's almost automatic because businesses know if they don't fundamentally rethink what they're going to do, there is a big chance of being disrupted, right? And it's not even about business process adjustments. It's actually completely rethinking how you do something. And one thing I wanted to mention, like in terms of the pilot to production thing that I think is important is a lot of people get lost on too many use cases. You'll have loads of people in that are talking to you about all these use cases, and what we've discovered having worked with a lot of customers now is there are probably 3 massive needle-moving areas in AI. And obviously there are lots of sub-processes around this, but the 3 big ones. The first is coding, and anything related to coding. And by the way, this Christmas I created my own website, in about a few hours using a company called Lovable. I don't know if you know the Swedish company Lovable. Few hours. Now, I'm not a programmer, just for the record, right? But I can be creative and think about what I need to do. So coding is key, and actually in Amazon we've saved upwards of $250 million just applying our Q developer into the system. The second big one is knowledge management. Anything to do with documentation, your emails, natural language querying all the data in your company, getting your employees, by the way, to be super more effective because they can get to documentation easier and they don't have to call 50 people. The governments, the amount of documents they're processing, EU Parliament, what they're doing, by the way, around the Archibald archives. So knowledge management, massive. And then I think the third and probably the most exciting thing for all of us here is customer experience transformation. What can you do to really personalize and ensure that you're able to actually transform how you serve your customers better through your call centers, through your web channels, through any other channels that might be created. At Amazon, we use Rufus. I hope you have used Rufus when you go to Amazon.com. But that was completely rethought because when people come to Amazon and they know what they want, that's one thing. But if you don't know what you want, Rufus helps you get there. So I think my advice is 3 big areas. That doesn't mean it's the only ones, but 3 massive areas, very needle moving. And then combining that with the commitment you were talking about and the enablement. And that's what you need, I think, to be successful in AI.
Absolutely agree. And thank you for this very clear message in the 3 areas where the most of return on investments and efficiency lays. I could not agree more, because at the end of the day, the access to information, the accuracy, and the experience of the customers, would it be external or internal, that's what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's very interesting also to hear that you were coding your website. Alex, you are coding the agent. You told me.
Yes, actually, true. And this is really what it's all about.
Or building the workflow to be more precise.
And really doing your own prompts. I think this is. It sounds so banal, but that's how you get then the process change, because this means, in my case, I work now different with my office, and we do a different way of planning ahead. Small thing, very efficient. Somebody would have sat down an hour or two to go for the information collection. So I'm 100% with you, but you have to start with this behavior and start with these basics so everybody sees, wow, oh, how cool. And then people are getting hungry, and then they become imaginary, and then they jump on it, and then you can do bigger things.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing, because what you're talking about is this cultivating. There's a lot of books and documents being written about this topic, but this idea of an AI mindset and what does an AI mindset mean, right? A lot of it is exactly what you said. It's the learning yourselves. By the way, if all of you are not using these tools, I would highly recommend using them, whatever your tool of choice might be. And there's just so much choice now, actually, so it's great. But I mean, the learn and be curious part of this is so critical. We use a term within Amazon that we call the YQ. And when people ask me, like, what skills do I need to learn? We talk about the Y quotient. And the Y quotient is really about going deep inside and understanding what is the customer problem you're trying to solve, right? And asking the why questions. Why does it have to be done this way? Why does it need 10 hours? Why not 1 hour? Why do we need 100 people? Why do we need one person? Why do we need any people to do this? Why can't it just be AIs? Could the managers be AI? Why does it have to be only the employees that are AI? I mean, I think this why quotient is something that as more organizations cultivate, the more successful you're going to be. And then you need to make sure that your teams are empowered, because there's just too much restriction. Now, we all want responsible AI. I'm sure we'll get into it. I'm sure you'll want to get into it. But responsibility and experimentation. The one thing we do in Amazon, we have a really interesting mechanism that we call one-way doors and two-way doors. And the one-way door means you kind of don't come back through that door, right? So you need to be thoughtful about what you're doing. When you launch a new car, you're redesigning something, the security aspects, etc. We launch a new data center, we need to think about that quite carefully. A two-way door, you can make decisions and back out of those decisions if they don't work. And so we unleash the organization to make two-way door decisions. And that's the sort of thing, I think, coming back to AI. I don't think AI is unlike any other transformational change, except the speed at which it's moving. And so having these mechanisms and culture and direction is the real key to your organizational unlock. The tech is easy, actually, coming from tech, both of us. But, I mean, the tech is easy, seriously. That's not what's going to hold you back. It is going to be this unlock on the leadership level.
I mean, I see, I hear, and it's always like when we as consultants talk to clients, we tell them, yeah, it's cultural change, it's engagement, it's empowerment. This story, I'm sorry to say, the karaoke of being engaged, empowered, and so on. But still, what do you believe? What are the challenges and the barriers you see internally which are really not allowing AI to be adopted as fast as it can be? Because honestly, the user interface and the easiness to use it, it's there. Yeah. I'm asking myself, I mean, my first job was in the internet service provider support line, people calling me and asking where am I in internet, how I see it, and exactly so on. So I remember all this 30 years of journey. But now, the low adoption of the easiest user interface technology and a resistance within big corporates to bring it, why?
I go first. The thing is like this, what we found out, we really pushed super hard, especially in the sales and marketing space, for adoption, to really have everybody have the tool on hand, to have it there, and really have it accessible, and have it included in your work environment. That was key for us, and we're really pushing to get these adoption rates up heavily. And this is also a bit of a culture change, because people can now freely ask for software, right? I mean, we have to be cost conscious, right? But in this case, we were very, very pushy to say, hey, go adopt it. And that's something where culture has to change, that people say, okay, I order this, I do this, right? I go and access it. As simple and banal as I use it already the second time, is really, this has to change. And then it's about really enabling them. And we're we're doing a lot at the moment, getting people behind not only, summarizing emails and doing the simple stuff, but really learning how to build good prompts. Yeah. To do prompt competitions, to see how do I do it, how to save them, how to reutilize them, simple stuff like this. And then suddenly people are like, aha. And again, it's what you're saying. It's top management pushing for it. It's empowering, enabling them, and then letting them fail. And it's really something that is extremely crucial, having people then also to say, ooh, I invested time and it didn't work. Okay, next one, we try again. That's how engineering advanced, and the same happens with AI, I think.
Yeah, but that's culture, I think.
It's culture.
And look, I mean, I might have a slightly different perspective on adoption rates. I actually think adoption rates are pretty significant right now. Like, we did some research that shows 5 businesses every minute in Europe are using AI. In the UK, it's 1 business every minute. We're talking about $600 billion of economic value potential if we can unleash the full potential of this technology, right? So actually, we do see phenomenal adoption and a big increase over the past year. We see startups, to your point, going much faster. They're digitally native. Yeah. They have that learn and be curious founders mindset. And they're using AI in the core of what they do, in the core of their processes, in the products, launching new businesses. For example, if you look at Lovable, or if you look at 11 Labs and what they're doing with voice AI, right, for example, or Synthesia, what they're doing with their avatars, or Huron AI in oncology care. It's unbelievable what startups are doing. Enterprises, and you spent a lot of time in the consulting world. I was in the consulting world. Maybe you were in the consulting world at some point. But if you look at enterprise, it's not unusual that enterprises are spending their time on efficiency orientation right now, because the fact is there's a ton of legacy out there. And you can't just pivot from A to B, however much a consultant might tell you can, right? So really addressing the core of that tech debt, and we were just talking about it, you and I, as we started here, and helping modernize the core of the infrastructure. You cannot do AI if your data is a mess. And so getting your data foundations in place on a platform that is scalable and secure and has responsible guardrails then gives you the confidence that you can innovate at scale and not let your data leave your environment. So I think it's super, super critical, actually, that we do provide our builders with platforms that offer choice, safeguards around data. Then you let them unleash themselves, right? And then, of course, the skilling and training that goes with it. Hackathons are fabulous, by the way. They work really, really well. And we all need to learn. We all need to upskill ourselves, actually, to be honest, right? Because all of our education isn't something that today is not necessarily as relevant without the digital angle on it, right?
No, I appreciate a lot that you mentioned the tech ready or a tech transformation, because that's what we also see. And we always tell our clients, first, you start with a business problem and link it to the process, which apparently has to be changed, sometimes completely disrupted. And you have to have your guts to stand for it. Yeah. And that's where we see the biggest, pushback, because at the moment when you start talking that there is no magic or miracle in AI, because if you don't change your business process, you will be just automating, the crappy old things. That's first. Second, we always say, get your data ready, but then you have this, discussion, yes, but now AI can take structured, unstructured data, it's easy. Yes, but still, you have to get out of the data silos. You have to make sure that you operate AI as a cross-functional area. And that's honestly my biggest learning as a consultant and as a CIO of our company, the cross-functional operations. And then I never thought that it's so difficult to incentivize colleagues, people in our client organizations to change and do the continuous learning. And I was always living with the notion that we as, human beings, part of the nature, we are always curious. We are always able to learn fast, transform, and we are just built for it. But then it happened, no. And this, resistance, I'm sharing what I'm experiencing every day.
It depends on what I observe at Mercedes-Benz. It depends on the area. Yeah. I mean, as you all know, we have AI in our cars,
Thanks for the positive
No, really,
angle.
let me try to be a counter, and let me try to really be positive. I'm really, we have AI everywhere at Mercedes. It's really part of our daily doing of everything. If you guys happen to drive a Mercedes-Benz, you experience that there because it's already there. And that's where people, years ago, because it takes a bit of time, you know, to start and get everything ready, already started. So there is the savviness, and we're lucky enough we come out of 140 years of engineering, you know, savviness. We love that. But nevertheless, we are not only having these engineering areas, you have also other parts, you know, where administrative areas which were not touched by tech. And there you have to go into now where they were not used to this. And you said also customer experience. Also for us, that's an area where we're really at the moment going very intensely in, especially customer care, to really help there with AI. And this mainframe transformation, it's so much easier now with AI. I love it. And it's fantastic. And you're super fast. And so AI has, now I'm the positive girly on the thing, but I really am so...
Someone has to be.
So much you can do it.
You can refactor code these days with natural language querying. I mean, there's a tool that we use within AWS for all of our employees, by the way, and we call it Quick Suite. And what we've got is the Quick Suite available on our desktops. All of our data is linked into the Quick Suite, right? So now everyone has, of course, access to different data levels, right? So that's all baked in. But I can go into Quick Suite and I can start assessing the performance of my business in area A versus area B without having to call my finance team and my sales strategy team and my operations team. I can do all that myself. It just saves me loads of time. You can build your agent as well to do whatever you want that agent to do. You can do deep research. So let's say you're going to meet a customer. You can do your deep research in Quick Suite. So I think to unlock this learn and be curious piece, look, at the end of the day, of course, it has to come from within that you want to be learn and be curious. But I think the organizations have to make it easy for you to do that, right? If you've got to go searching around for a tool and you don't have the time, you don't know if, by the way, the CIO has approved it or does not approve it.
Yeah, of course.
I think
you have to ask for a budget.
We must make these tools available to the edge and then give them the empowerment to go actually build things together. And by the way, no one model will do the trick.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to need multiple models, multiple tools. I think agentic is what I believe is really the transformation that's happening around us. And you can build and deploy agents yourself right now, as we speak, right? With these tools. So I think let's incent our organizations to be like very, very brave right now and not timid.
That's a perfect, I would say, advocating from both of you. And of course, I provoked this discussion. I have one thing I want you to talk about. We have not pre-aligned, but I'm sure that you will be... No, they told me that I always have to pre-align everything, but I keep this one thing. I want to have 30-second speech for this audience and everyone who is online from you, why young females, why women has to get into the tech and to really inspire that it's not of, I don't know, crazy, nerdy, complicated things. I need from you this inspirational 30 seconds.
You want me to go first? Yes. Look, I started my career in tech with my father, who was a tech entrepreneur, and I actually have a economics degree. I'm not an engineer. I'm certainly not a coder. I did some COBOL in my days, so now you know how old I am. But it was mainly because I was always excited about how people were using this technology, right? So I will tell you, we have made technology very difficult for people to grasp. So when someone asks me, like, what is the cloud? I say, well, do you use Netflix? Do you use Uber? Do you order food online? That's the cloud at work, right? If we talk about the cloud in bits and bytes and blah, 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 people aren't always interested, right? Look, the future and all the jobs of the future are going to be digitally enabled. It doesn't matter which industry you're in, you are in a tech industry by nature. And so if you want to be participating in the economy, then it's seriously important that you dive into taking STEM in some form or the other. And I don't mean physics and mathematics necessarily, but just the capability of using these tools. And then we know as organizations, if we don't have women in our organizations, absolutely there at leadership positions and all the way across, we will not be able to unleash the power of this technology. There is not enough talent in this world to do the things we need to do as fast as we need them to do to create really lasting societal benefits for all. So sign up now.
Perfect. That's a perfect pitch, and I love it. We are all in a digital world, and we all have to understand how it works. That's what we have to tell the younger generation. Alex.
And connecting to what we talked about this year, more or less on a similar location, just up the hill here in Davos, adding to what you have said. I think what is extremely crucial from the data perspective, from also the problems that we see and try to solve, we have a different perspective of women. We need the diversity of people in this. It is not sufficient. We know this. We see this in Coach today. It's very, very skewed into one direction, usually white male, which we really have to diversify. And that's why I say, ladies, pick up your laptop and get going. You said it totally right. Don't pick up your pen, pick up your laptop and go and code, because I really deeply believe that female viewpoints are important on that one. On the data side, as we talked last year, it's so important, but also, you know, adding a perspective of problems that have to be solved, because sometimes we look at things differently. We know it from the health sector where Maria, we talked about it, where we really, really saw now how dangerous it actually is if we're keeping us out, if there are not women looking on it, if data is not female-driven. So, ladies, go to your laptops, build the next business model, because it's really, really easy. And I'm sometimes really frustrated that my day has only 24 hours, because I love
Alex,
my work. I really love my work at Mercedes, but sometimes I'm like, wouldn't that be great just to have more time to go and code and develop a business?
It's not just about your laptop, actually. I think the world of technology is marketing, it's product, it's sales, it's legal, it's finance, it's everything. But at the core of it all has to be a digitally savvy workforce at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter what you do, you are surrounded by tech at all times.
I think that's a fantastic final and conclusion and the final words. Honestly, big thank you for advocating, for having such a passion towards technology, and also for those messages you are sending, because we all as female leaders in tech, this is our responsibility to bring more and more females into this industry. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, audience.